Well, good afternoon and welcome to Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase. This is your weekly call-in town hall and radio show. I'm going to be on the air for the next hour to answer your questions. I'm here each Friday, as I have been for, I can't believe it, 2.5 years. It's a long time. I'd love to get your thoughts on issues that affect Virginians. The number here is 804-454-1366. 804-454-1366. And you're going to want to tune in today. I have Congressman Dave Brat. He's going to be tuning in here in just a few minutes, calling in. I also have John Pudner, who is the executive director of Take Back Our Republic. Now, you may not recognize that name for Take Back Our Republic, but you may not know that John Pudner was the one that actually helped Congressman Dave Brat win his very first election, his very first primary, when he unseated my former boss, Congressman, do you know which one it was? Eric Cantor. That's right. And so a very two great guests coming on, and you're going to want to stay tuned for that. I want to tell you a little bit. We've got a lot going on this week in the news, but today we are going to focus on a couple things. We're going to talk about the $32 trillion over 10 years, Medicaid for all. That's how much it's going to cost, a whopping $32 trillion over 10 years, and would radically change the face of healthcare in the country, and not for the better. The Democrats' plan for socialized medicine is not the solution. It's a big problem, and it's going to cost Americans for years to come. And so we're going to be talking about that with Congressman Brat. Has he called in just yet? Okay. Are you there, Congressman Brat?
You bet.
Hey, it's happy birthday, by the way.
Hey, thank you very much. Awesome.
You're turning 30, I hear.
Yep, 31.
Yeah, we knew better. I know the real answer, but I'm not going to say it because I'm going to be nice.
That's all right.
As long as I'm younger than you, that's all that matters.
That's right.
The key to staying young is having friends older than you.
And friends with high energy like you, so it's good.
That's awesome. So it's great having you on, and had such a good time. I actually go once a year to the swamp to visit Congressman Brat, and did so a couple of weeks ago. My aide and I both went up there to hang out and get a tour and hopefully cheer you up a little bit. But so glad to have you on today. And you're home campaigning for the month of August, right?
Yep, all of August. Today we had mini town halls up in Louisa and Goochland, met about 30 constituents in small groups, and went great.
Very good. Congressman Brat is everywhere, and it's remarkable how much he does travel throughout the Commonwealth, throughout his district, the 7th District. And I just want to remind you all, he's involved with 18 different caucuses, and I'm not going to sit here and repeat all those, but my favorite one is the House Freedom Caucus. Tell me what the House Freedom Caucus has been up to lately.
Yeah, well, our mission statement is we just want to keep our promises to our constituents. And so that's been everything from repealing Obamacare, and we dug in on that trying to fix the problem. And today I heard from constituents, independents, liberals, conservatives, everybody across the whole board. And it was interesting, no matter who you talk to, the system right now is just plagued with corruption at the highest levels, because it's all big everything, big insurance, big government, big bureaucracies. And people aren't getting any personalized attention or care or concern from the doctor. There's formulas everyone has to live to. And so, the Freedom Caucus weighed in as strong as we could, and we didn't come out winning on that one. But then we did tax cuts, and we're working on deregulation, and then immigration. We've tried to stay true to the Republican platform. And my colleagues, Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows, et cetera, have been huge on government oversight with the FBI abuses, and they're trying to make sure we get the documents we need to find out how in the world, right? The only data point they have on collusion with Russia is the Democrats. The DCCC put together a Russian dossier and used that to get a warrant through the FBI to spy on American citizens. And so to this point, there's still no evidence of collusion with the Trump investigation, zero. But there is evidence now that we have the Democrats getting information from the Russians for the dossier through the Clinton campaign. And so, our folks on the House Freedom Caucus have been fighting that fight for months, and they're making huge progress. And I think the American people are starting to see that.
Well, I know that for me personally, I'm still wondering why we're not still taking a look at Hillary and all her emails and how she can just get away, just kind of walk away from what she did with, erasing emails and burning them and bleaching them and everything else she did. And you never hear about any type of justice in that situation.
Yep. Well, and that's right. And that's what the latest round of documents that are coming out point to Page and Strzok. Strzok is the one who said we can't let President Trump get elected. He was the head of the Hillary investigation and declared her innocent before they even interviewed her. Mm. And then they declared Trump guilty before he was even elected. And that's Strzok and then Page, and they sent out text saying we have a secret plan to stop the president from being elected or to end the presidency. So this is high-end. This is not the men and women who work hard every day, right, at the FBI. This is the political appointee level, and that's the problem. The swamp is just full of corruption, and we've dug it out. And so you have text saying all of this now, documents saying, and there's a lot more documents that they won't turn over, and they're redacted and blacked out, et cetera. And so we obviously want to get to the bottom of that.
I find it very, very interesting that your opponent worked for the CIA. Aren't there a number of CIAs that are actually running for political office this year against our members?
Huge number of CIA, national intelligence, et cetera. So they try to pose as being independent or strong on defense, and then this Russia issue has clarified all that. It turns out under the Obama administration, Obama was responsible for the failure in Ukraine, failure for the annexation of Crimea, failure for $1 billion going to Iran, the leading state sponsor of terrorism, failure to take any action on Korea, et cetera. And so it's just the ultimate irony that at the end of the exploration, the evidence is just flipped upside down. They led from behind. That's what Obama called it. We're going to lead from behind. I mean, I've never heard anything so absurd. And now we're leading in Reagan-esque style with American power and building up the Defense Department instead of tearing it down. And so, the Democrats, they run as being to the center. But, my opponent was just endorsed by Senator Elizabeth Warren, and she's been endorsed by all the leftist groups you'd expect. And so there's no shock. It's just a matter of getting the word out to all the people. The mainstream press, of course, won't cover any of that, but it's just obvious to everyone who just takes a casual inspection.
Well, speaking of which, I watched on August 1, you were on Fox, and you were talking about the Farm Bill, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Why don't you bring us up to speed on that bill and the work requirement?
Yeah. Well, so we're happy. Paul Ryan, that's his specialty, is putting together win-wins, and so it follows his logic of welfare to work. And so there's no cuts to food stamps, et cetera, but it will save $20 billion. And so when you save $20 billion, the Democrats message and say you're cutting. And you're not cutting, you're getting people to get off of government dependency and into the workforce. Mm-hmm. And so it's just for able-bodied adults, right, without kids, without young kids, et cetera, not seniors, but it just requires them to either go look for a job or get some workforce skills training. And so that's it. And that's a good thing, right? So I said on Fox, Maimonides, right, he's a great Jewish philosopher, and he had a hierarchy of virtues, et cetera. And the highest virtue for him, and in the Judeo-Christian tradition, is helping a brother or a sister to find a job. And why is that? Because when you look at what's going on in the country right now, the wheels are coming off the car, right? I mean, we got opioid problems, trafficking problems, heroin problems, family breakdown problems, depression, suicide, et cetera. And helping someone get a job and out of the welfare dependency and onto this booming economy, right? 4.1% growth this quarter. We're booming again. Kids are getting jobs. We're taking those 40 million people out of the workforce right now that can't find jobs, and they now have an opportunity to get back to work. And so it's the best win-win you can imagine. And Republicans always judge the success by how many people you can get away from government dependency into a successful job. And that's quite a contrast with the Democrats.
And I just want to highlight for those that may not be familiar that you sit on Addiction Treatment and Recovery Caucus, and I know that you've introduced legislation to help kind of solve some of the issues related to human trafficking. And when we come back from the break, I know we're getting ready to go to a break.
Right.
I want you to talk a little bit about that bill, and I also thought what we could do is talk about the Medicare for All, that would cost a whopping $32 trillion over 10 years and radically change the face of healthcare in the country and not for the better. The Democrats' plan for socialized medicine is not the solution. It's a big problem, and it's going to cost Americans for years to come.
Got it.
We're going to come back with more. Congressman Brat will be back in about 4 minutes, so you're going to want to stay tuned. We'll have 8 more minutes with Congressman Brat. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey, we can't always know if the places we shop or the businesses we sponsor support our beliefs. So when we find businesses that are the good guys, we should make it a priority to support them, don't you think? Well, the patriots here at InfoWars think so, and that's why InfoWarsStore.com has become one of the most popular online stores in America. Look, InfoWarsStore.com, hands down, has the best gear. From water filtration systems to t-shirts, storable foods, and yes, our world-famous supplements. And check this out. Because of your support and the support of stations just like the one you're listening to right now, we are giving something back. Use promo code WNTW when you shop at InfoWarsStore.com, and we will give you a gift valued at $20. Yeah. Again, that's promo code WNTW, and receive your free gift right now at InfoWarsStore.com.
Hi, I'm Ray Satterwhite, and I own the Aris Electrolux franchise here in the Central Virginia area, and we are the original Electrolux. I'd like to tell you a little bit about our air purification system. It cleans and purifies 48,000 square feet every day and kills black mold spores and eliminates dust and pollen and all the bad stuff, but it also eliminates the MRSA virus and many other viruses. If you want to get more information on this product, call me at 804-527-2775. That's 804-527-2775.
Del Walmsley here. The first thing you're going to have to learn is until you stop expecting politicians or anyone else to change your life isn't going to change. The only person who can change your life is you, but you need to know how. Listen to my show, The Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins.
Tune in to The Del Walmsley Show weekdays from noon to 1 right here on WNTW 820 The Answer, Richmond's choice for conservative talk.
Have you written a book and want to get it published? Then call Page Publishing ASAP. We're looking for authors of all types of books. And unlike most publishers, Page Publishing will take the time to review each and every book submitted to us. And we'll give you our feedback. And if we like what we read, we will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, the Apple iTunes Store, Barnes & Noble, and other outlets. We handle everything. Editing, cover design, copyright protection, printing, publicity, and distribution. So if you've written a novel, children's book, cookbook, inspirational work, poetry, or a biography and want to get it published, call Page Publishing now for your free author submission kit. Your road to fame and fortune could very well start with this simple phone call.
888-785-0618. 888-785-0618. 888-785-0618. That's 888-785-0618.
All right, we are back with more Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase and Congressman Dave Brat live on the air today. And it's always good to have you on Cut to the Chase, Congressman Brat, and he's going to be in the district for the whole month of August. I know a lot of y'all don't realize just how hard he works, but he is only, during the regular season, during the regular year, he only gets to come home, 1 week for the whole month? And then the rest of the time you're in D.C. except on weekends for family. So that's a tough gig right there. We appreciate your hard work and your sacrifice. And the next thing I wanted to talk about was the Medicare for all, and the whopping cost of $32 trillion over 10 years. They were saying that the Medicare for All Act, or M4A, is Senator Bernie Sanders' plan to establish single-payer health insurance for everyone in the United States. And the bill, which I know there's no surprise out there, was co-sponsored by 16 leading Senate Democrats, including far-left favorites like Senators Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, and Cory Booker, would ultimately provide comprehensive government-controlled health care for every American. So, and they're saying that the actual cost of that is going to be $32.6 trillion. That's like 10.7% of GDP in 2020, rising to 12.7% by 2031. That's just crazy. So,
yeah, exactly. And my opponent, just so people know, was just endorsed by one of those presidential candidates on the hard far left that want to socialize half the economy. And it's a whopping problem. California has taken a look at this, and California said no on fiscal grounds. So
wow.
when California says
they're bankrupt, right?
us, that's a little sign. And then the RTD editorial page did a good job with it today, too. And they said to pay for this, it would cost, you'd have to double everyone's income taxes. Your personal income tax would get doubled, and the corporate business rate would be doubled, to give you some sense of what we're talking about. And so if you did that, of course, the economy would go into immediate, not recession, but depression. Mm-hmm. And the Democrats are seriously toying with your economy. And so I hope everybody out there spreads the word that this is not a theory anymore. This is what the leading presidential candidates of the Democrat Party are proposing for your life. And the next head of financial services under the Democrats, if they won the House, it would be Maxine Waters. And then my opponent said she would not vote for Nancy Pelosi to be Speaker, and she hasn't clarified whether she would vote no for her on the floor. But why is that? Because Nancy Pelosi is too conservative for my opponent? I mean, it's fascinating, right? So they won't vote for Pelosi because Pelosi's too conservative. And, I mean, you just cannot really make up where the left is right now. It's so out there. When they said they're going to change the tone, and you were with me at my town hall, mm-hmm. My opponent was in the front row at that town hall when they were swearing at the pastor while he prayed, and we couldn't get a word in edgewise. And my opponent says she's going to bring a new tone to D.C. She's on the ballot to be a leader of the country. She was in the front row of her team and did not lead one bit with just foul tone. I had town halls for 2 years. I never had anything like that. I always had very civil discourse, rational dialogue, until my opponent started whipping up that kind of behavior. And boy, what a change!
You know, and I find that
very not known for the good.
I find that very interesting. I've been with you from the very beginning. We've been friends before. We were friends before either one of us ever even considered running for office.
Right.
And I remember all the town halls you went and how few people would actually show up. I mean, town hall after town hall at the Koger Center and just throughout the district and everything, because I would always come because I wanted to show support. Sure. And they kept saying, Dave Brat's not having town halls. And I'm thinking, no, where have you been? You haven't been coming to his town halls. And then the one town hall they start coming to, you know, they show up and it's a circus. It's worse than the circus. And there's just a total lack of respect for humankind in general, just a total lack of respect for differing ideas, the inability to carry on any type of articulate discussion. It's just they were shouting you down, they were shouting me down, they were shouting my pastor down in the meeting, and it's his church. You know, he actually offered as a kind gesture to have this town hall because we have to pay for this stuff, and offered to have it there, and it was just unbelievable. The lack of respect. People were not even respecting themselves, and they weren't respecting the everyday average person that was showing up there that wanted to express themselves, and they couldn't because this group was shutting everybody down. It is unbelievable.
Yeah, and what was shocking, we had national press there, and you saw that, and they did not report on it, and that is what we call the fake news. When they see that, the Times-Dispatch reported a little bit on that to give them credit, and the Observer a little bit on that, but they did not cover the meaning of that event, and that was real breaking news. What happened there is a fundamental change in the 7th District behavior. And it started on, unfortunately, the other side of the aisle with just the crudest behavior I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And so people that didn't see it, it's out there on the web. It's floating around out there. You can watch videos to see what we're talking about.
Yes.
It was reported by the Chesterfield Observer a little bit, and they usually are, favorable to Democrats. And the Richmond Times-Dispatch news page is always favorable to Democrats. They covered a teeny little bit, 1 or 2 sentences, but they did cover it. But the Washington Post was there. Other major newspapers were there. Not a word of coverage from the mainstream.
Well, it was interesting because you remember what you held up on the sign. You actually had a sign, a poster at that particular point, just to make sure you got your message across. Do you remember that? Remember what was on your sign that tell everybody what was...
Pre-existing conditions are covered.
That's right.
And I'm still having town halls because the Democrats are going around just spreading total falsehoods that our bill got rid of pre-existing conditions, et cetera. It did not. There's never been a plan to get rid of that. And so that's why the tone has degenerated so much on the Democrat side. They know they lose on policy. The economy is roaring. National defense and foreign policy is strong. Healthcare, Obamacare, is an abject failure, and now they want to socialize it even more and centralize, have all power go to D.C., right? Not just most of it, all of it. And they know they lose on policy. Every one of those. Immigration, open borders. They want to get rid of ICE. They want to get rid of internal law enforcement for people who come in illegally and commit crime. They want to get rid of the entire ICE department. My opponent doesn't want a wall, just the beginning of shutting down the borders. And so they can't run on policy, and so that's what's left. They have to just go to rhetoric and anger, and that's not good for the country.
Definitely not. Now, I want to remind everyone that your election is coming up on Tuesday, November the 6th, and you need to get out and vote at your regular polling location, and the polls are open from 6 a.m. until 7 p.m., and if you're not registered to vote, go to your local registrar, get registered to vote. Do that now so you don't forget, especially if you have kids in high school, kids that are turning 18 before November the 6th, get them registered to vote. Congressman Brat, if they would like to go to your website, what is your website?
Yeah, just DaveBrat.com, B-R-A-T, DaveBrat.com, and sign up for my email. And I'm going to be writing like crazy coming up. I've been so busy in Washington, now home August. I'm going to be writing in depth on policy, on healthcare policy, immigration policy, so everyone knows exactly where we stand. And then also, if you can help out, click DaveBrat.com and go to volunteer and say, hey, I'd like to help you out, whatever you like doing, making calls, knocking doors, emailing friends, spreading our policy positions, having town halls for us. That's what we need, and it really is about the country this time. If we lose the House and my seat is in jeopardy, we need everybody on board because the Democrats, they have money coming in like crazy. They are energized. They have money flowing in to take over the country, and we need to get out there just like we've done in the past and get the grassroots and the patriots and everyone out there voting like crazy to express that we want to keep the country based on the Judeo-Christian tradition, the rule of law, and free markets, everything that's made us the great country we are.
Well, Congressman Brat, we really thank you so much for coming on today. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show, and look forward to having you again in August. Anytime you want to come on, cut to the chase, we'd love to have you. So hope you enjoy a little bit of time at home with your family, and look forward to seeing you around the district.
We will. We just want to applaud you for your service in the Senate of Virginia.
Thank
With
you.
SRN News, I'm Val Dior. U.S. employers slowed their hiring in July, adding 157,000 jobs, a solid gain, but below the healthy pace they maintained in the first half of the year. The Labor Department says the unemployment rate ticked down to 3.9% from 4%. A U.S. government scientist who's seen the contents of 55 boxes of remains turned over by North Korea says the remains are consistent with being Americans. John E. Bird, director of the lab in Hawaii that is working to ID the remains, told reporters at the Pentagon that it's too early to know how many people are represented in those boxes. Shelley Cohen, who served for nearly 3 decades as the assistant music director during Johnny Carson's entire run on The Tonight Show, even leading the band on air once in a while, he's passed away at 84. He died of pneumonia, according to his wife of 64 years. On Wall Street, the Dow ending up 136 to close at 25,463. This is SRN News.
Hi, Hugh Hewitt for Patriot Mobile, urging you to go right now to www.patriotmobile.com/U and help us celebrate a supreme summer. That's right, it's a Supreme Court summer. President Trump has nominated Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court, and we need you to help make it happen. And you can do that by switching your cell service, because Patriot Mobile, like all of the bigs, has great cell service. But unlike any of them, support conservative causes. Don't just carry your calls, carry your message, in this case to confirm Brett Kavanaugh. Every time you use your Patriot Mobile and pay your Patriot Mobile cell phone bill, you're supporting conservative causes like those that protect your rights, support interpreting the Constitution with originalism. And right now, while supplies last, enjoy a new Motorola E4 or an E4 Plus smartphone for only $4 a month. Mention my name, Hugh, when you call 1-800-A-PATRIOT to switch your service, or visit www.patriotmobile.com/Hugh. That's www.patriotmobile.com/Hugh. Make conservative change happen every time you use your cell phone.
If you don't have a rich uncle, call Lending Tree. With us, hundreds of banks compete for your business, so you'll get loans with competitive interest rates, and in some cases, with no closing costs. So here's the deal. If you need money, call us. Do you want to refinance your current loan? Are you 62 or older and interested in a reverse mortgage? Then call Lending Tree now. 800-470-1378. 800-470-1378. We've closed over $250 billion in loans. We know what we're doing and can help you. Call right now for a free quote. 800-470-1378. 800-470-1378. 800-470-1378. That's 800-470-1378. NMLS number 1136.
You are tuning in to Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase. This is your weekly town hall. The number here is 804-454-1366, 804-454-1366. And so good to hear from Congressman Dave Brat. And now we are going to hear from my next special guest, John Pudner, who is the Executive Director for Take Back Our Republic, also best known as the original campaign manager for Congressman Dave Brat back in the day when he won for the very first time and shocked the nation and the world. And we have him here on the line, John Pudner. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. I feel like the Rolling Stones just left the stage, and I'm going up with my acoustic guitar now to play after Dave. But thanks for having me.
Oh, my gracious, you're a trip. Oh, I started reading. You had given me this book called Taxation Only Without Representation, and you had the foreword in here, and the book is by Richard Painter, and I've started reading it. It's called The Conservative Conscience and Campaign Finance Report. Campaign Finance Reform. And John, you and I have spoken on several occasions about my big 3 things that I ran on are accountability, accessibility, and approachability. And transparency is paramount in campaign finance reform. I've written 2 bills on campaign finance reform, and I look forward to partnering with you on ideas for making sure that we were returning the power to the people. And one of the things that really impressed me the most in this is you're looking at this because you've been a campaign consultant for 3 decades now. And also something else I wanted to say is that it was your testimony leading to an unheard of unanimous Federal Elections Commission decision establishing the right of voters to know who is paying for those Facebook political ads. That was you, and resulted from a lifetime of building broad coalitions while adhering to conservative principles. So you are a consultant, and are you still a consultant to this day? I know that you're the executive director, but
No, I did make the Dave Brat year my last year of running campaigns. I did do a couple general elections after that. But no, that was it. So that's been one of the hardest things running a nonprofit is not being able to be involved in campaigns. So we do have to keep a wall there. But no, so no more candidates for me.
Well, you went off on a high note. That's a pretty big win that shocked the world, and pretty exciting. I know you and I had a lot of fun kind of reminiscing back when you were in town. And after you left, I kind of took over the helm for a while in hiring Dave's transition staff or his after the primary. You won the primary, and then I came in after the big primary win and helped with the next team that would come through and take him through the general election. And we never really had a chance to talk because of that wall, like you said. We weren't allowed by law to talk. So I enjoyed, after it was all said and done, several years later, we were able to get together and talk. And my understanding, not only are you now the father of 9 children, but you were the eldest of 9 children growing up.
I was right in the fan and still visit Mom and Floyd Avenue. I do only want to correct one thing, though. Dave definitely won that primary. It was great to launch and help get him going for the first couple months, but I think my biggest contribution is I was really good at picking really good candidates.
There you go.
So it was great to get a couple months out there and get to travel around with him the first 2 months. And part of the absurdity of the system is that, then to cut some commercials and things I wanted to do, we had to peel off, as I have in the book, form a super PAC, and by that it's laughable. I'm talking so I could spend a little of my own money running some ads for him that were not coordinated, and I just started to see some of the absurdity of the system. But there are probably 200 volunteers out there who knocked on a lot of doors who could take a lot more credit for helping Dave than I will, but it was certainly an honor to be a part of it.
Well, I'm going to read this little excerpt because I just find it very fascinating. You and I have our memories of that week when Dave won, but you said, I hit send shortly after 7 p.m. on June the 10th, 2014, and 93,000 people received the email, Dave Brat surging ahead of Eric Cantor. Sitting in Brat headquarters, we had received only 3 precinct reports, but with 1% of the precincts in, I knew Dave had won based on my matrix. Tell us about that matrix.
Yeah, one thing I am good at is number crunching. I guess we all have one skill, but I had early on set up kind of precinct by precinct goals and targets, and they really were right on. I'd set it about 52%, and the first 3 precincts that were called into headquarters were just from different places. There was that corner of Spotsylvania. There was one from next door to Eric Cantor's office, which we lost, but which he was running way ahead of what he should be. So, sometimes the messenger gets killed, and sometimes the messenger, looks like a bigger deal than they are. But the one thing I did have is a spreadsheet where I really saw we were on that 55-45 kind of pace and would be in that ballpark. So, yeah, I did take the chance. I felt good enough after 3 precincts to, as I said, hit my 93,000 closest friends with the email. So I at least did get it out there, but could see where it was trending. And, I was feeling good. I mean, I was talking to some media before it, and just the way the polls had moved from Dave being 30 down in one poll to 10 a couple weeks later, it just looked like everyone had seen him and caught on that this really was a change they wanted, and that he was the right person to carry this forward as their representative.
Well, it's really exciting, and I can't wait for our listeners to hear. We're going to go to a break here in just a minute, in 30 seconds here. But it is really neat, just the stories that you and I were able to share, and I appreciate you accepting my last-minute invitation to come on the air today, because I think it's neat for people to hear those stories that so often they don't hear. So I want you all to, we're going to go to a break. We'll be back in 4 minutes. We'll be back with John Pudner, who is the former campaign manager for Dave Brat's first big win. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Did you know that fast-growth small businesses under 20 employees provide over 90% of the new jobs? Did you know that this group represents just 5% of the 28 million businesses in the United States currently? Did you know there's only 4 things that separate the 5% from everybody else? Well, if you want to know more, then join us every Friday at 9 a.m. I'm William Eastman, your host at Business Growth Radio on WNTW 820 AM, and you can access our programming and tools at growthradio.biz. That is growthradio.biz. See you Friday.
He was after real Republicans, shown-up Republicans, onion-toting Republicans. He was not after the blueberry-toting Republican. He's got him already. He's already weak. He doesn't need to shoot him. But if a Republican is going to tote a set of onions, that's the one he wants to take out.
Tune in to Brother Craig the Hatchet Man, Saturdays 10 a.m. to noon, rebroadcast Sundays 9 to 11 a.m. here on Richmond's Choice for Conservative Talk Radio, WNTW 820 a.m. The Answer.
Want to fly somewhere? Looking for cheap flights or cheap tickets? Then call. That's right. Call the low-cost airline travel hotline now for prices so low we can't publish them anywhere. Low Cost Airlines has all kinds of cheap travel deals. Fly domestically and save up to 75%. You can even fly internationally and save even more. Yes, fly anywhere in the world and save a lot of money on your plane tickets. We'll even save you money with cheap travel deals on hotels, rental cars, even complete travel packages. So don't book your tickets until you call us first for the absolute cheapest prices on U.S. and international airline tickets and hotels. Call right now for prices so low they can't be published. Travel experts are here 24/7 to help.
800-368-5184, 800-368-5184, 800-368-5184, 800-368-5184.
All right, we are back with more Cut to the Chase with State Senator Amanda Chase, and I have John Pudner, who is the Executive Director of Take Back Our Republic, also former campaign manager for Congressman Dave Brat, who originally won that historic win that we all remember and were shocked and all over. And he's actually here on the phone with us. And, I'm going to read the next excerpt, and I love this. It says, my cell phone, meaning John Pudner. My cell phone exploded as the nation learned from my email that the majority leader had lost. And by the way, the majority leader was my former boss, Eric Cantor, okay, it was very fascinating to be in the middle of all this between my good friend Dave Brat and my boss, Congressman Cantor. And they said, are you sure? Is this serious? A little later in the evening, I was with Dave Brat, his family, and 3 others behind a locked door as I called the county police department for an escort to get his children home through the enthusiastic crowd. Meanwhile, Dave was on the phone with Sean Hannity, who was flying a plane to Richmond, Virginia, to cover the hottest story of the day. Were you concerned about the safety of his family? What were you thinking at that moment?
Well, you do always worry when there's a big win, and this was certainly bigger than I'd seen. But you that focus changes all of a sudden. I mean, I remember George Allen first winning. He was my first boss. But when he went to governor, you're no longer taking state legislature and really at that point just watching others and the quick security you had to throw up at the end. And so, you just don't know when something big happens and there's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of people running around. You do just get a little nervous and have to put a little of your mind on, hey, is everything safe here? Is someone going to react? I mean, there's just a lot of people running around, mainly just enthusiastic. And I'm not a security person, don't get me wrong, but you do worry just a little bit in those situations.
You absolutely have to. And I can tell you, in working and helping on various campaigns, having seen our campaign office fired into with gunshot, losing friends. Politics is a tough arena to be in and to be called to. I know you said 2 days later, Gretchen Carlson concluded her Fox News interview with you saying you believe that the 21st century tools even out money in races.
I did, and I really was hesitant to do any TV interviews after that. You never want to upstage a candidate who's just won. But I wanted to do that one partly just to thank the volunteers, but also to say there is some hope for running low-budget campaigns. And that was my message there, and it's really what led to Take Back Our Republic. the reason I started this up and got behind efforts like Fix It America to work on some of these reform issues is that people have kind of given up now. I mean, they view, Dave Brat win as an exception to the rule, but they generally think, well, money's going to overwhelm, and really on both sides, and secret money. And I think that's what's made things so nasty. In the old days when we had to put our name on advertisements, you just didn't have the kind of vicious stuff you're seeing out there right now that is making things dangerous. I mean, there was transparency, and, if I or anyone else had told Dave Brat, hey, you're behind 2 points and we need to, just run this nasty ad destroying your candidate, well, he would say, wait a second, is that an accurate record? Was that really Eric Cantor's record? Is this shrill? I mean, you'd ask those kind of questions because you don't want to go over the top. But that's the problem with so much of the money being secret now. I mean, George Soros, wrote an $18 billion check to nonprofits. So when I hear some of my friends say, well, we shouldn't have any rules at all, I'm like, really? Would you like to see nonprofits money moving around into campaigns? We've got to have some solutions there, and I think sometimes we make the mistake as conservatives of saying that's a liberal issue. And I'll take Obamacare for a second. I mean, I think it was terrible. I think it's a disaster. But people kind of want accessibility to health care, and we kind of didn't seem to have a solution. I think we could have put together a kayak of insurance and said, well, this is a conservative way to get access to insurance, but we didn't. I kind of feel the same way here. We want to come up with our own reform rules, but people are fed up, and I don't think we want to be in a spot where it's, well, conservatives don't want any changes to all the nasty stuff we're seeing out there, anonymous, that's firing people up, and liberals do want solutions. Well, I think conservatives start to lose that battle. I think it's, no, what are the alternate solutions? And again, you can bridge that within a Fix It America or different reform issues with the Ohio, even the Ohio redistricting that just went through was really a good, well thought out one that Republican leaders put together there, and they didn't say, well, it's gerrymandering reform, I don't want to touch it. So I do think the nastiness we're seeing out there is driven by this secret third-party ads there's no accountability for, and we really need to take looks at some real solutions here.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that I really want to talk about is the transparency that has now recently come about with Facebook, and you are a part of bringing that about, correct?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we loved the testimony when Zuckerberg finally got on the Hill and made a point that they had gone beyond, the transparency required at other outlets. Well, that's because we beat them with the FEC. I mean, they opposed everything he was taking credit for doing. We actually filed a case saying they've got to start revealing who's paying for political ads on Facebook. And so what he said was technically true in front of Congress. They were, but it was only, they were dragged there, and it was a suit we brought, actually our sister organization, which is a C4 Take Back Action Fund, said, look, if you don't start requiring Facebook to do this, we might just run some really nasty anonymous things through it. And luckily, we managed to pull everyone together and get a vote. Now Facebook has got to reveal, has got to look into who's paying for these ads, and particularly the way they do their algorithms and some of the concerns conservatives have on Facebook and Twitter and others. I don't think you want these guys doing unlimited secret advertising without even telling you who's behind it.
Now, I think more of the dark money and the super PACs, that's something we see at the federal level. I don't see or know of that at the state level. We don't have super PACs that I am aware of at the state level, or the dark money. Tell us a little bit more what that is specifically. What does that look like at the federal level?
Yes, and I do make a distinction. Some people think super PACs are dark money. I mean, super PAC donors actually are revealed. So that technically isn't dark money. Now, I'd say it's a bit veiled. It's harder to get at. But after Citizens United, people started setting up groups, LLC companies, for example, that they would, or 527s, where you set up a company and run all this political money through it, and then say, oh, well, it's not a PAC, so we don't have to reveal anything like a PAC does. So this is one mistake Kennedy really made in his decisive vote on Citizens United, he said it'll be fine to have all this money running because in modern age, everyone will know immediately who's paying for it, so you can make your judgment. Is Bloomberg again trying to take over Virginia's government, or Soros, or if you're liberal, the Koch brothers, whoever. And obviously, he was completely wrong there because nothing there required, nothing they wrote required disclosure. And in fact, all they took was, hey, we can do unlimited. Let's set up some new entities that don't report. So this is the real poison that that some of those ridiculous ads that are going into your phones, onto your traditional TV screen, anywhere else, are completely unaccountable. The group's probably going away the day after the election, and therefore they'll say anything, and that's why you have angry people besides himself when election's over and starting to make these threats to elected officials. They've just been fired up by these ridiculous charges sometimes.
Well, I know one of the bills that I initially filed, my first year I was in office, I was so disgusted by the amount of outside of the state money that poured in to influence Virginia's elections that I actually introduced a bill that said no outside monies into the state of Virginia, and the attorney that was helping me draft it said, well, that's unconstitutional because the courts have determined that that's free speech. And I said, file it anyway. File it anyway, because I want to challenge that, because I don't think that outside of Virginia you should be able to contribute to these elections, because you have all these different influences that are not Virginians here. And I just think we're seeing more and more and more of that. And it's so defeating. I'm a grassroots candidate, and my campaign was similar to Dave's in the sense that I had no money when I ran, and I actually won. I was outspent. I had one candidate, the incumbent, had $600,000. The next guy, $150,000, and my $50,000. So and I won with 40% of the vote in a three-way race. But I worked very hard and had volunteered on a number of other campaigns and understood how campaigns worked. But, most people don't and aren't able to do that. So I want to go. I know we've got, gosh, the time just flies when you're on the air, but you had an idea that I want to talk about that I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I think it's worth talking about. How do we stop this money from flooding in and basically drowning out the constituents and their view and their thoughts? So we're going to come back, if it's okay, and finish talking about that.
I would love to. Thank you.
Okay, stay tuned. We'll be right back with John Pudner, Executive Director of Take Back Our Republic, former campaign manager for Congressman Dave Brat. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Katie.
And I'm PJ.
And I'm Deacon Dave.
And we're the Good News Crew, RVA.
Are you tired of all the bad news in the headlines every day?
Us too. So join us for uplifting stories, conversations, and find out about great works going on right here in our own backyard.
Tune in to the Good News Crew RVA, Saturdays 8 to 9 a.m. Rebroadcast Tuesdays 9 to 10 a.m. here on Richmond's Choice for Inspirational Talk Radio, WNTW 820 a.m. The Answer.
The Chesterfield County Police Department is asking for Crime Solvers' help to solve a recent robbery, for Crime Solvers can't help without you. Police are investigating an armed robbery to the 7-Eleven store at 6501 Iron Bridge Road. It happened at about 11 p.m. on Saturday, July 7th. The suspect entered the store, showed a gun, and demanded money from the clerk. When she complied, the suspect left on foot. He was described as a black male wearing an orange hoodie, khaki pants, and blue gloves. But you can see pictures of the suspect at either crimesolvers.net or on Facebook at crimesolverscch. And if you have information on this or about any unsolved crime in or person wanted by Chesterfield or Colonial Heights, submit a tip through Crime Solvers. Call the hotline 748-0660 or use the P3 Tips app. You will remain anonymous, and if your tip helps, you could receive a cash reward. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and take the time to solve the crime.
It's a good time to be a comedian. It's scary to be a citizen, but it's a good time to be a comedian.
I thought your career was over, and now it's a good time to be a comedian? I just want to make people laugh.
Okay, we're laughing. At you! You're hysterical! I have no career! Oh my God!
Tune in to Larry Elder, Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 p.m. here on Richmond's Choice for Conservative Talk Radio, WNTW 820 AM, The Answer.
I cannot believe it's already time for the final wrap-up. It has come so quickly today. And I have 3 things I want to tell you real quickly. National Night Out is this coming Tuesday, August the 7th, and I'll be in the community going out meeting with different folks throughout the community. Also, Republican Caucus is next Saturday. If you're a Republican and you want to vote, there's 6 locations: Ironbridge Baptist Church, Swift Creek Baptist Church, Phillips Volunteer Fire Department, the Swift Creek Elementary School, and the Celebration Center. And what are we doing there on Saturday, August 11th? Next Saturday from 10 to 2 p.m., we are voting for our next Commonwealth's attorney. John Childrey and Stacey Davenport face off for the Republican nomination. I've endorsed John Childrey, who I've known for many, many years, been a prosecutor in Chesterfield County. Known him for many years. And then also you sign a pledge that you're going to support the nominees. It is a Republican caucus. It's not paid for with taxpayer monies. It's paid for by the Republican Party. So, and then finally, this weekend is Virginia's back-to-school sales tax holiday. That 5.3% tax you normally have to pay on school supplies, $20 and less. You don't have to, $100 and less on clothing and footwear, energy-saving appliances, hurricane prep. Anyway, it's this weekend, August 3rd, today through Sunday, August the 5th. So with that, I'm going to get back to something very interesting that John was talking about in his book. You know, this is actually campaign finance reform. I do agree. It is a national security concern that comes to mind when we realize that corporate wealth and thus corporate political speech in American elections is not all American. And with growing it talks about this in the book, but it says with growing concentrations of wealth in the Middle East, China, and the Far East, and Latin America, more corporations in the U.S. will be owned or controlled from overseas. And if corporate money dominates elections, American citizens will have a limited role in choosing their own government. Our independence as a country could even be at stake, particularly if it is easier for foreign businesses to influence our government than is for Americans to influence foreign governments. Now, John, you have like two seconds here to give us the answer here, but the alternative here, tell us what that is.
Well, and September 24th, we're looking to have a whole event, probably at Benedictine High School, I hope, the old one, my old stomping ground, to really go into this. But we've got a bill, H.R. 1341, that would cut off one way foreign money comes in. I think American Promise and Fix It America, who are going to be at that panel with me September 24th, have some other ideas. But there's $1 billion, for example, it's come through just Act Blue alone, one group this year, in unverified credit card contributions. I'm not suggesting that's all foreign, but what I'm telling you is when you have that much money flowing in with no bank check on where it's really coming from, that's the kind of place foreign entities are going to throw money into. And let me tell you, when China was willing to cut a deal for Joe Biden's son, a group he helps run as a board, for $1.5 billion when he visited China, I promise they can move money around very easily, and that's just one of several ways we can stop it. But you're right, that's going to take a whole 2 hours on September 24th. I wish I could do it justice now.
And the other thing that you had mentioned was the government could send a tax rebate check of $200 to every citizen over the age of 18 with one condition. You've got to spend it on an election or a political party organization for expenditures in connection with an election. So basically everybody who is a voter gets to give money toward a campaign of their liking.
Yeah, and our preference is you take that off your taxes. And Virginia had a $50 for years. It just sunsetted. But keep the first $200 you're going to send the IRS, and pick someone who will actually be a good steward of your money and send them the check instead. And that'll give you alternate funding to offset all this outside and foreign money that's coming in.
Well, John, it has been a great pleasure to have you on Cut to the Chase today. We are already out of time. Thank you so much for coming on today. And I want to thank our listeners for tuning in today. We will be back again next Friday with more Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase. Have a great week.
There are many, many questions, but the answer is AM 820, WNTW Chester.